Nobody sees this war. That is what makes it so exhausting. You walk into a room and you look completely fine. You answer the messages, you show up. You function. And the whole time, underneath all of it, there is a battle happening that nobody around you can see. The voice that questions every decision the moment you make it. The thoughts that arrive at 2 a.m. uninvited and will not leave. The version of you that wants to move forward locked in. Constant conflict with the version of you that is terrified to. The regret that keeps pulling you backward while anxiety pulls you forward, and you are standing in the middle of it, getting torn in both directions, exhausted from a fight that never seems to end. You are not broken. You are at war with yourself. And you have been for a long time. So before we go any further, I want you to stop. And just acknowledge that the most draining battle in your life is not happening out there. It is happening in here. And everything in this audiobook is built around one thing. Ending that war. For good. Let me describe what this war actually costs you. Not in dramatic ways. In quiet ones. It costs you the ability to be present. You are in the conversation but you are not really there. Part of your mind is somewhere else, replaying something that happened, rehearsing something that might happen, fighting a battle that has nothing to do with the room you are standing in. It costs you sleep. Not because your life is so difficult, but because your mind refuses to put down the weapons even when the body has stopped moving. It costs you decisions. Because when your inner world is at war, every choice becomes enormous. The mental noise amplifies every option until paralysis feels safer than movement. It costs you joy. Because even when something genuinely good is happening, when the moment is actually worth being in, the war in your mind is loud enough to drown it out. And perhaps most painfully, it costs you yourself. Because the person you are when you are at war with your own mind is not who you actually are. It is a diminished, exhausted, reactive version of you. A version that is using enormous amounts of energy just to survive the internal noise, leaving almost nothing for the life that is actually in front of you. This war has a cause. It has a psychology. And it has an end. 5 chapters. One piece. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Understand the war, where it actually comes from. The mind was never designed for peace. Here is the first thing you need to understand about the war in your mind. It is not a malfunction. It is a feature. The human brain was designed, through hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, to scan for threat. To replay past events looking for patterns that might signal danger. To project into the future imagining everything that could go wrong so that you could prepare for it. In a physical world full of predators and genuine survival threats, this was an extraordinary advantage. But here is the problem. The brain cannot distinguish between a physical threat and a psychological one. Between a lion outside the cave and a difficult conversation you need to have tomorrow. Between genuine danger and an email you are anxious about opening. The threat scanning mechanism runs on everything. And in a modern world full of social pressure, uncertainty, comparison, and constant information, it runs almost without pause. So the war in your mind is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of a very powerful, very ancient survival system being applied to a world it was never designed for. Understanding this changes everything. Because you stop fighting yourself for having the thoughts. You stop treating the internal battle as evidence that something is wrong with you. And you start learning how to work with the mind instead of being destroyed by it. The two armies. The war inside most people's minds is fought between two specific forces. The first is the past. Regret. Shame. The replaying of old decisions, old conversations, old Failures. The mind returning again and again to moments that are completely over and completely unchangeable, looking for a different outcome that will never arrive. The second is the future. Anxiety. Worry. The catastrophizing of outcomes that have not happened. The mind projecting forward into every possible version of what could go wrong. Trying to control an outcome that is not yet determined and may never be. Between these two armies stands the only territory where you actually live. The present moment. And the entire practice of finding peace in your mind is really one practice, learning to come back to now. Not once. Not dramatically. Again and again. As many times as the mind wanders, which at first will be hundreds of times a day. Each return is not failure. Each return is the practice. Reflection. Which army is louder in your mind right now? The past, pulling you back into what happened, what was said, what you should have done differently? Or the future, pulling you forward into what might go wrong, what you need to control, what you are afraid of? Name the dominant army. Because you cannot make peace with an enemy you have not identified. Chapter 2, Stop fighting your thoughts. Start watching them. The trap of resistance. Here is one of the most counterintuitive truths in all of psychology. The harder you fight a thought, the stronger it gets. This is what psychologists call the ironic process. When you tell yourself not to think about something, the act of monitoring for that thought keeps it active. The mind that is trying not to spiral is also the mind that keeps checking, am I spiraling? Which becomes its own form of spiral. Fighting your thoughts is like wrestling with smoke. The more effort you apply, the more you exhaust yourself, and the smoke remains exactly where it was. The counterintuitive solution is not to fight harder. It is to stop fighting entirely. Not to agree with the thoughts. Not to believe everything the mind produces. But to stop treating every difficult thought as an emergency that must be immediately defeated. The observer shift. There is a practice that changes everything about how you experience the war in your mind. It is called the observer shift. Instead of being inside the thought, swept up in it, believing it, fighting it, arguing with it, you practice stepping back and observing it. You become the one who watches the thought, not the one who becomes it. In practice this sounds like moving from I am a failure. I always make the wrong choice. Nothing is ever going to work out for me. 2. I am having the thought that I am a failure. My mind is producing the story that nothing will work out. This shift seems small. It is not small. The moment you can observe a thought rather than inhabit it, you create distance between you and the content of the thought. And in that distance, for the first time, you have a choice. You can engage with the thought or you can let it pass. Because thoughts are not facts. They are not commands. They are not the truth about who you are or what your future holds. They are events in the mind. Like weather. They arrive. They move through. They pass. And you, the observer, are not the weather. You are the sky. And the sky is never threatened by what passes through it. Reflection. Think about the thought that visits you most consistently. The one that arrives uninvited and stays longer than you want it to. Now try the shift. Say out loud or in your mind, I am having the thought that. Notice what happens in your body when you observe the thought rather than become it. That small shift of distance is the beginning of peace. Chapter 3, The 5 Battles Inside and How to Win Them. Battle 1, The Voice of Self-Doubt. Self-doubt is the most common soldier in the internal war. You are not good enough. You are not ready. Who do you think you are? The mistake most people make with self-doubt is trying to silence it through achievement. If I accomplish enough, the voice will stop. It does not stop. Achievement feeds it briefly and then the bar moves. The way to win this battle is not to accumulate more evidence of your worth. It is to stop requiring the evidence. To understand that self-doubt is not a signal from reality, it is a signal from the part of the mind that was designed to keep you safe by keeping you small. Thank it for trying. And move anyway. Battle 2, the comparison loop. The mind that compares is a mind at war with its own journey. You see someone else's result without seeing their process. Their highlight without their struggle. Their arrival without the years of invisible work that got them there. And your mind uses that incomplete picture to generate a verdict about your own inadequacy. The comparison loop is always fought on unfair terrain. You are comparing your inside to their outside. Your full truth to their edited version. The only comparison that will ever build you is the one between who you are today and who you were yesterday. Everything else is a distraction from the only journey that actually belongs to you. Battle 3, the regret spiral. Regret is the mind trying to rewrite a story that is already finished. It is one of the most energy-intensive mental activities a human being can engage in, and one of the least productive. Because the outcome of the past is the one thing in all of existence that is completely, permanently beyond your influence. The way to end the regret spiral is not to stop caring about the past. It is to change the question you ask about it. From, why did I do that? To, what did that teach me, and how am I different because of it? The first question is a loop with no exit. The second is a door. Battle 4, the anxiety engine. Anxiety is the mind living in a future that has not arrived. It is the attempt to control outcomes through worry, as if thinking about every possible thing that could go wrong will somehow prevent them from happening. It will not. The anxiety engine is quieted not by solving the imagined problems but by returning to what is actually true right now. Right now, in this moment, are you safe? Do you have what you need? Is the thing you are anxious about actually happening? Almost always, the answer is no. The catastrophe is imagined. And the energy spent on an imagined catastrophe is energy taken from the actual life that is right in front of you. Battle 5, the identity war. The deepest battle in the internal war is the one about who you are. The mind that has absorbed years of criticism, failure, comparison, and self-doubt often carries a self-concept that is deeply, quietly, fundamentally unkind. And from that unkind self-concept, every other battle draws its ammunition. The way to win the identity war is the same way all identity is built. Through the accumulation of evidence. Through small promises kept. Through consistent actions that slowly, quietly, irrefutably tell the mind, this is who I am. Not through affirmations alone. Through behavior that confirms them. Reflection. Which of the 5 battles is loudest in your mind right now? Just one. The one that costs you the most energy. The one that has been running the longest. Name it. Because a named enemy is already less powerful than an unnamed one. Chapter 4, the daily practices that quiet the war. Peace is not found. It is built. Most people are waiting to feel peaceful. They imagine that one day the noise will simply stop. Through the right circumstances, the right relationship, the right level of success. It will not stop by itself. Peace is not the absence of thoughts. It is the trained ability to not be controlled by them. And, like any trained ability, it is built through practice. Specific, daily, consistent practice. Practice 1, the morning pages. Every morning before the day begins, write. Not a journal of events. Not a productivity list. Just write whatever is in your mind. Uncensored. Unedited. 3 pages, or 10 minutes, of raw mental output. This practice works because the war in your mind feeds on suppression. The thoughts that are never expressed, never examined, never allowed to exist on paper, stay alive and loud. In the background. Writing drains the ammunition. What is expressed externally loses its power internally. Practice 2, the body as an anchor. The mind at war is almost always a mind that has lost contact with the body. When anxiety spikes, when the mental noise is loudest, the fastest path to quieter is not through the mind. It is through the body. Breath. Slow, deliberate, extended exhales that activate the parasympathetic nervous system and signal to the brain that the threat has passed. 5 seconds in. 7 seconds hold. 8 seconds out. This is not mystical. It is biology. And it works in under 2 minutes. Physical movement does the same. A walk. A run. Any form of deliberate physical engagement pulls the nervous system out of the fight or flight state and anchors it in the present body, which is always, always safer than the projected future the anxious mind is currently inhabiting. Practice 3, the evening discharge. Before sleep, and specifically to protect sleep, spend 5 minutes writing the unfinished business of the day. Not to solve it. Just to park it. To externalize the things that your mind is holding because it is afraid that if it puts them down they will be forgotten. The mind that tries to sleep while holding unfinished business will not sleep. It will review. It will process. It will wake you at 3 a.m. to make sure you have not forgotten. Write it down. Tell your mind, it is held. It is safe. You can let go now. And then let go. Practice 4, deliberate presence. Once a day, just once, choose one activity and give it your complete and undivided attention. Not while thinking about something else. Not while monitoring your phone. Just fully, completely, present in the one thing. It can be a meal. A walk. A conversation. Reading a single page. The practice is not the activity. The practice is the returning. Every time the mind wanders. And it will, constantly, you notice, and you return. Without judgment. Without frustration. This returning is the fundamental practice of mental peace. It trains the mind to come back to the present. And the mind that has been trained to return to the present, is a mind at peace. Reflection. Which of the 4 practices is most missing from your current life? Which one, if you committed to it daily for 30 days, would quiet the loudest battle in your mind? Chapter 5, What Peace Actually Feels Like. The peace nobody talks about. Most people imagine peace as a permanent state of calm. A place you arrive at and stay. Where the thoughts are quiet, the mind is clear, and nothing pulls you off center anymore. That is not what peace feels like. Real peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of something stronger than difficulty. It is knowing that the thought will come, and it will pass. That the anxiety will spike, and it will settle. That the internal noise will rise, and you have practiced coming back from it so many times that you no longer fear it. Real peace is not a destination. It is a relationship. A relationship with your own mind. Where instead of being at war with what it produces, you have learned to work with it. 2. Observe it. To let what needs to pass, pass. To hold what is worth holding. And to always know the way back to yourself. The person you become. When the war in your mind quiets, even partially, even gradually, something profound changes in how you move through the world. You become more present. More available to the people in front of you. More capable of genuine connection because you are no longer half absent, fighting an internal battle in the background. You make better decisions. Because decisions made from clarity are different from decisions made from noise. The mind at peace sees options the mind at war cannot even perceive. You become harder to destabilize. Not because you stop feeling, but because you have developed a relationship with your own inner world that is strong enough to hold whatever arrives. And perhaps most quietly, most profoundly, you become kinder to yourself. Not perfect. Not free from struggle. Just no longer at war with your own existence. And that fundamental, life-changing truce with your own mind, is the beginning of everything. Action plan. Your 5 practices starting today. Practice 1, name the dominant army. Right now, before this audiobook ends, identify whether the loudest battle in your mind comes from the past or the future. Regret or anxiety. The replay or the catastrophe. Name it. Specifically. A named battle is already half won. Practice 2, try the observer shift today. The next time a difficult thought arrives, do not fight it. Do not agree with it. Simply say, I am having the thought that. Step back and watch it rather than inhabit it. Do this every time. Today. Notice what changes. Practice 3, start morning pages tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, write for 10 minutes. Whatever is in your mind. No editing. No judgment. Just drain the ammunition. Do this for 7 days straight and notice what happens to the volume of the internal noise. Practice 4, use breath as your anchor. The next time you feel the mental war escalating, stop. 5 seconds in. 7 seconds. Hold. 8 seconds out. Twice. Your nervous system will respond. Not because it is a trick. Because it is biology. And biology is always available. Practice 5, make the return your practice. You will lose the present moment dozens of times today. That is not failure. Every time you notice you have wandered, into the past, into the future, into the noise, and you return to now, even for a moment, that is the practice working exactly as it should. The return is not the failure. The return is the victory. The final truth. The war in your mind is not who you are. It is what you have been carrying. For a long time. In silence. Mostly alone. And the fact that you are still here, still functioning, still searching, still looking for a way through, is not a small thing. It is evidence of a strength that the war has been trying to convince you that you do not have. You have it. You have always had it. The mind that is at war with itself is also the mind that is capable of peace. The same intelligence that creates the noise is capable of learning to quiet it. The same awareness that got trapped in the battle is the awareness that can step back and watch the battle, and choose not to fight anymore. Peace is not on the other side of a perfect life. It is not waiting for your circumstances to improve, your problems to resolve, your past to be different. It is available right now. In the space between the thought and your reaction to it. In the breath you take before you respond. In the quiet moment you choose to return to yourself instead of following the mind into the war. That space, that breath, that return. That is where the peace lives. And it has been yours all along.